Welcome to the Business Shop Podcast, where our guests speak on meeting the challenges of entrepreneurship, as well as offer tips and advice on business, marketing, technology, and more. Whether you are a newbie or a seasoned professional, this episode is for you. I am your host, Audrey Wiggins. Let's chop it up. This episode, we'll hear from Johanna White. Johanna is an award-winning graphic designer and visual branding strategist who designs premium brand identities that create impactful first impressions. As the founder of Designed by Joe Studio, she believes that if someone is the best at what they do, they deserve to look like it. For the past decade, she's worked with individuals, startups, and Fortune 200 brands worldwide, helping them to attract more raving fan clients than they know to do with, and to be as delightfully expensive as they deserve to be. Because pricing is always our little area of a struggle. Johanna knows there's no limit on success, and she's proved it several years ago when she took life by the horns and started 3 companies within 1 year while battling a brain tumor. At a time when everyone else in her life was suggesting that she quit working and go on Social Security to cover medical bills, she chose to do the opposite and defy the odds. As a result, Johanna is now a dreamer extraordinaire. She's a dreamer extraordinaire for top performers, goal-oriented individuals, and brands. Specializing in designing premium brand identities from start to finish, Johanna assists clients in a large range of needs, from brand messaging to visual brand identities to premium custom websites that convert visitors to customers. Thanks to her now or never approach to life, she finds fresh inspiration in balancing work with play, and just as likely to be found designing her clients' brands from the top of a mountain with a snowboard strapped to her feet. I know. That puts a whole new spin on remote work, right? Remote work. Okay, or from the beachside chair in the Dominican, as from her desk. A lover of experiencing life to the fullest, she spends her weekends on her motorcycles, with an S, ballroom dancing, or riding her horse Romeo as he charms the internet with videos of his latest tricks and sweet puppy dog demeanor. Clients have come to know and love Johanna for her ability to constantly expand their vision of what they're capable of. That's very important. Capture their true value in an aspirational personal brand that takes them from best kept business secret to brand name, and then cheer them on as they level up with new confidence and live up to their fullest potential. And she has a quote here. She believes that excellence applied across all customer touchpoints results in brand experiences that matter. Johanna, welcome to the Business Shop.
Thanks, Audrey. Whoa, that was a mouthful. I'm listening to you thinking, maybe I need to shorten my bio a smidge. Let me make a note.
Or I could have saved some and I could read it part of it later. But it's very interesting, and it kind of sets the stage for this exciting interview that we're going to have here.
It does tell them all about me. And I literally just got back from 2 weeks snowboarding in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
And I'm headed to the barn after this interview. So it's all true.
Proving it once again. I know. So, it's like some people say, think outside the box. Why does there have to be a box at all, right?
There is no box. It's like in the Matrix. There is no spoon.
Exactly. There's no spoon. Oh, I know. I'm going to love this interview already because I'm a great Matrix fan. I could probably recount the trilogy, all in my head, turn my back to it while it's playing, and I can still visualize the scene in my head. Like the old Star Trek episodes. All right. Okay, let's kick it off with what problems you're solving for your clients.
Well, most people would say branding solves traditional problems like what goes on their website, what their logo looks like, or maybe what's in their messaging. And while I do all those things, the real problem that I solve is helping clients finally look as good as they are. Like, my clients are the best in the world at what they do, but a lot of times they're still a best kept business secret when they come to me. Wow. And it's because they might have a really amazing, heartfelt product or service, but as long as their visual brand doesn't line up with their value, they either don't get seen at all, or they get passed by for competitors who may have a lesser quality of service, but have better branding. So my true problem that I solve is helping them capture their authentic self and share it with the world in a way that magnetizes their dream investors, opportunities, and clients.
Okay. So how do you get that? Because sometimes I think as business owners, some people can be introverts and they just don't want to, they want you to find them like by osmosis, but you have to push yourself out. Speak to that person.
Well, Audrey, if that person doesn't want to be seen, they should not come be my client. Let's say that, because it's not my job to be their business mama, and I'm not going to force them to show up if they don't want to.
Right.
But
okay.
Most of them have started to realize that maybe they're not good at being seen, or they might be shy, or they might be introverted, but they need to be seen in order to have the impact that they want to have. So they come to me and we do a process first called content mining, which is where we sit down and I go through a lot of questions to pull out of them their X factor, what makes them the best in the world at what they do, why people should work with them instead of anyone else. And first, if they can't answer those questions, then we have to take a step back, and it may not be the right fit, or it may be too early for branding, because if they don't even know what makes them freaking amazing, I can't show it to anyone.
Right.
But a lot of times it's in there and people just aren't aware of it. So that's why I call it content mining. And we're bringing those diamonds to the surface.
One of your points, you talk about being stuck undercharging. And so talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So a lot of times when people are stuck undercharging, or they can't charge what they're worth, even if they're getting in front of the right people, maybe they're having sales conversations, people are coming to their website, but none of them are buying. They have, more often than you would think, they have a branding problem. Because what's going on is they have something amazing, but like I mentioned before, it's not being perceived that way.
Okay.
And maybe their message isn't speaking to the greatest need of that audience. So people don't buy products or services. They buy solutions to their problems. But when it comes to pricing, many people position themselves as a commodity instead of something that is truly needed and that will help elevate their life in a greater way. Okay. So branding helps with pricing, because when you finally create a visual brand that shows what makes you amazing, people who are coming and finding you, or maybe they weren't even finding you before, but now there's place for you to show up. That brand is like, it's like an army behind you that visually validates your value to the world. It says, I am who I say I am. And it makes it so quick and easy. Like, a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they're having trouble closing sales and they have low conversion rates. And when we revise and rewire their brand, we redo their messaging, we create a story, and then create visuals that really capture that story. The moment we launch their new site, they're calling me and saying, I was able to charge 50% more for my coaching program, and I just closed 30% more sales this week.
Wow.
So because as much as we don't want to admit it, looks matter. Looks are perception.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And it doesn't mean it has to be a certain look. It should be authentically you in that look. But does it look like you care? Does it look like you were intentional? Does it look like you're consistent and that you show up the same way every time?
Okay. So does it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, so does it matter whether they have their prices listed on their website or not? Or should
Nope.
they not? Okay.
It does not matter. That is more of a marketing question and or something that would be decided in the moment based on your industry, based on your audience. Like think of someone who is truly selling a commodity item, which can still be sold in a way that feels very unique when you use the right words and the right message. But say they're selling something you could buy 10 other places. It's probably helpful to list the price because a lot of people, maybe that's an everyday item and they are coming and they want to know, like they want the sale to be easy and you want to make it easy for someone to buy for you. So it might make a ton of sense to list that price. But say that there's someone who's selling a luxury good or service or more premium level of VIP coaching package or something like that. You look at the Bentley website, there's no prices on there. Okay. You look at the Louis Vuitton high jewelry, there's definitely no prices on there. And there is sometimes a better chance for, like, when it comes to the luxury end of the market, people anticipate and look forward to being able to interact with someone and find out more about it before they know if it's a fit. So it's completely common to not have it on there. And that just comes down to a case by case basis. Okay. Listing them neither detracts nor adds to making those sales in most cases. Now, that's a Johanna White opinion.
Okay. It was a great answer. Let's just. Oh, my good. Okay, you had alluded to this earlier in the introduction. You were talking about one of your other points is your brand is more than a logo. So can you unpack that for us? Absolutely.
I used to struggle from this same thought myself. Back when I first started, I started in graphic design and people would come and say, hey, I need a quick logo. And I like dogs and I like purple. So please make that.
Okay.
Whatever they said. They like
your business is not dogs.
And your business is not dogs. That has nothing to do with grapes. So, but I would just make them. I made these early mistakes of just making them whatever they thought they wanted. But what happened was they would take that and it would really add no measurable value to their business because it had no meaning behind it. It had no foundation. It had no why. It didn't help communicate what made them amazing to the world. And it wasn't something that they could really stand behind. So I started to dig into this and say, what can I do to help clients actually get results and return on investment for the work we're doing together? Okay. Versus being like all the other designers out there that just say, tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And I'll make it for you and it'll be pretty and have a nice day.
Right.
And the deep dive started when I heard Tony Robbins speak in an event and he talked about falling in love with your clients instead of with your products or services.
Wow.
And then you will pivot when you need to pivot. You'll ask better questions and you'll be around for the long haul. So I started asking questions, asking my clients, what do you need more of? And they said, well, we get this great logo, but we don't know what to do with it. Or we don't know, we don't really know what our logo should look like. And we don't want to tell you what it should look like. We want you to tell us based on research and competitor analysis and based on what's already out there and what would be different and what our clients are attracted to. And we don't know what we don't know. And that was when I really kind of tripped head first. No, I was intentional. I strode like a queen into the world of branding. And that is when I discovered that what many people think is a brand, the logo, is really just a mental trigger for the brand. The brand is a set of emotions and perceptions that have been built that make your customers feel a certain way. So think of the Apple logo. Okay. Everybody knows it. And you see that and you might think, cool, I love Apple. But the reason you think that isn't, or you might hate Apple, no offense, Android users.
I know.
You might see that. But the reason you have that thought about Apple isn't because years ago they came up with this cute apple and everybody thinks that icon is amazing. It's because they have spent years developing a brand with their advertisements, with their packaging, the way the stores are laid out, the way everything is so clean and minimal, the way you open a box and you're like, ah, and then you want to keep the box.
I know. I have boxes where I'm like, I need to throw this away.
Because the package itself is so cool. Yeah. And they have built a brand through their messaging and through how you feel when you own it. They have tied having an apple to creativity and to maybe premium. They never go on sale, even on Black Friday. The best they do is like $100 gift card or something. Like, they have built a set of perceptions. They have built a brand. And so when you see that little apple, you think of all those things. Right. That is really what a logo does, is it triggers that flood of emotions, but you need the brand to build those in the first place. So a brand for my clients might have it will have a logo in it. That's still a piece of the puzzle. And yes. I still really care about how it looks, because that might be the face of your company, or it might be the first thing that someone sees. And years later, it's going to be that trigger in a wonderful way. You still want it to be an appealing trigger.
Right. That's right.
And as many times as possible, you want the logo to communicate part of your story.
Okay.
It's also a great opportunity to be a conversation starter, depending on your business and what your logo looks like. It may open the doors for, hey, what does this mean? Or it might very clearly communicate what you do. And so it still plays a very important role, but it's just a piece of the puzzle that includes things like your message and your website and your business cards and your touch points and your PDFs that you hand out to your clients and your slide decks that you show to investors and your podcast cover art and the graphics that you share with guests on them. Like, every single one of those is a chance for your brand to show up in the world. And they are just as important as what your logo looks like.
Yeah, that was great. And even and what's even more awesome though is is how you showed up. So with your own branding. So when people look at even like your materials or your media kit and your logo and things you do, that makes people, she knows what she's talking about.
Yes, your brand should position you. Literally lift you to the place of being seen as an expert in your space. And I learned that lesson. You would think I would have known it all along, but I really learned the value of that lesson probably 3 or 4 years after I started my own company. Okay. I got diagnosed with a brain tumor when I was working at an agency doing design. And at that moment, I looked around and went, I'm not even close to living up to my potential. I know that I'm capable of so much more than I'm doing. I know I'm capable of bringing so much more to my clients than I'm able to here. And so I didn't want to die with all of that potential left in the tank. So
yes.
So I quit, and I literally walked out the door and down the street and started knocking on business doors and saying, "Hi, I'm Johanna. I design stuff. Do you need stuff designed?" That's a very auspicious beginning. Clearly.
Okay.
and that was all it took, but it was a very slow start. And, for the first few years, I was just battling the tumor and standing on faith. And thankfully I got a full miracle. The doctors couldn't operate on it, but God could. And Amen. I got completely healed. But after that was over, 3 or 4 years have passed since I started the business. And I looked around and went, okay, I just went from working someone else's dead end job to creating my own dead end job. All I did was, and I'm not a great boss. Like, I asked for too many hours and the pay sucks. And so I scratched my head and I said, what is going on? I know that the work I am capable of delivering is of so much higher value than what I am currently able to charge. What is going on? Why can't people see that?
Yes.
And I went, well, duh. I'm just telling them things. I'm telling them that I could create an amazing brand. I'm telling them that I could create a business card that stops them in their tracks and like literally drips with gold and feels like silk when you touch it. And I'm telling them that I can help them show up in the world in a way that people immediately perceive their value, but I'm not doing that for myself. It was a very, very classic case of the cobbler's children wear no shoes. Like,
yes.
I spent all my time working on my clients' businesses instead of doing it for myself. So when that finally sunk in, because I may not be the sharpest crayon in the box, but I get there eventually.
Yes.
When that finally sunk in, I said, well, this is silly. I am holding the torch that could light and launch this rocket of potential, and I'm doing nothing with it. Like, I know that brand positioning could be the key. So I took 3 months off. I didn't accept any clients. Okay. I treated myself like a client. And I took myself through my brand messaging and said, what do I want to say to these people that will communicate the real problem that I solve? And then I said, how do I want to show up in a way that they look at it and they go, oh, she knows what she's doing and she knows luxury, because I wanted to work more in the luxury and premium space. Okay. And then I said, and how do I do my website in a way that doesn't just look like every other site, especially not just a portfolio, which makes people draw too many conclusions and they have to do a lot of mental work to figure out whether they want to work with you or not.
Right, exactly. And in your portfolio, if you design something for me, that's for me. So it may not even appeal to that client that you're really trying to get, because what I do is not what they do. They aren't looking for.
Right. So again, when it even came to showing my work, I said, I need to tell the story here. I need to say why we did this, what it did for them, what it could do for you. And so I completely tore apart my website, started from scratch, treated myself like a client, built it out, did photo shoots with my new business cards that I'd gotten that had gold edges. And I got these luxury nails that had like diamonds on them, and literally dipped the card in gold paint and had my photographer do a shoot, and we flung gold all around the studio. I had a blast. That picture is still on my website today.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
I asked myself the same question about every single image and piece that was on my website, which is, if this thing was me, what would it look like? So like if that bracelet represented Johanna White in a bracelet, what would it be? So I picked the Hermes Collier Edition bracelet because it's timeless and it's classic, but it's edgy and it's luxe. And I specifically picked a few pieces that were way too expensive for my budget at the time, because I was not yet making the money because I was undercharging and overworking. Yeah. But I said, this is it. I'm drawing the line in the sand. It is time for me to show up in the world in a way that captures what I can do. And when I launched that site, like the light switched. The next day, people were saying, I need you to work with me. I saw the pictures. I saw the Louboutins, and I know that you get branding and you get luxury and you get me. We have to work together. I had a guy stop me in a coffee shop, asked for my business card, and he took it and he ran back and Googled me and came back immediately and said, I need you to do work for me. This is amazing. You clearly get branding. By the way, I work for Google. And
my God. I mean, I can't look. You got me speechless. You have to be prepared. You never know who you're going to meet. That's awesome.
Which is why every single touch point matters. Because if I'd still had my old business cards that I thought were nice, but they were just good enough and kind of average, he would have taken it, politely tucked it in his pocket, threw it away when he got home. Instead, I handed him something that stopped him in his track in a world where business cards, who cares? Like, who even does those anymore? In a digital world, I handed him something tactile and totally interrupted his line of thinking, communicated in just a card that I do luxury. And it worked like that. And that is when I said, okay, no more going back. Like, now I'm going to charge what I'm worth. And I started upping my project prices, 5,000, 10,000, 20, 50, 100,000. Like, now we're serious. And sure, I still get a lot of no's. I still get people that say, I can't afford you right now. But most of the time they say, I can't afford you yet, but I can totally see why you're worth it. And I'm putting this on my vision board.
Wow.
And so as soon as I can, I'm coming back to you, which just makes me doubly happy because not only do I get to work and bring the best to their project, the best resources, the best subcontractors, the best like people to make their dream happen, but just in the action of me charging what I'm worth, they were required to level up their thinking of what they were capable of.
Yes. So you still help them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That might have been a monologue answer to your question. You can tell I really love branding and I can't shut up about it.
No, but hey, but that's important because you need to take us to that level. And you were chosen for it. That's all I can say. You were chosen for it. You were chosen for it. And the photo shoot, the whole thing just shows up, in the pieces, so when I looked at your material, yeah, I definitely want to interview her. And then I'm like, get the imposter syndrome. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, that's your choice, Audrey. I would never put that on you.
I know. And you didn't. No. And you're just as authentic and real. And it's the first time we've had a conversation. So, and I really, appreciate you. Yeah. And I respect what you do and who you are. This is awesome. This is awesome.
Well, thank you. Yes, and I appreciate you inviting me on your podcast and letting me speak to your guests. And hopefully a few of them will hear this and say, light bulb, I know I'm freaking amazing, but I'm not showing up like I'm freaking amazing. What can I do now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we want you to help them. Well, look, I'm stealing your words out of your media kit. You would help them level up their visual brand.
What I want to do, and that wasn't a pitch, by the way. They don't need to come to me. I just want them to realize, like, if they see how they are in the world and it doesn't line up with what they know is inside of them, it's time to start asking some questions. And maybe this can help them do that and help them say, like, where am I showing up as a lesser version of myself? Yeah. What I really want, like, I'm on a mission to help driven founders embody their most limitless possibility. Okay. That is what I want to do. I don't want them to have to go through a brain tumor to look around and say, this isn't it. And I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you were obviously chosen. The brain tumor was there just to get your attention so you can get to where you needed to go and be on purpose and help the rest of us get there. I really do believe in those, different types of tragedies and challenges that we have that seem so insurmountable that it was not just for us to learn something. It was for us to bring something to the world. And you're doing it. And plus you're having fun. You started other businesses. You like horses. I mean, you're just, like we said before about, there is no box.
There's no box.
And if there was a box, it wasn't about thinking outside. It was about just tearing down. Now we're going to go to Terminator. Right? We're going to walk through the walls of that box and just knock them down.
Then we're going to stroll along and start knocking other people's boxes apart.
Exactly. The zombies come to life then, like the real life, not in tattered clothing.
They're coming back.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I don't know if you want to tell us, what other businesses did you start that year?
Well, so they were wildly different, but they all had a reason based on what I was going through. So in addition to starting Design by Joe and all of the mission you just heard about, I started a company called Uniquely Yoga, which was selling yoga pants made out of recycled water bottles. Okay. That I found, it was a boutique. I did not design the pants, but when I was going through the brain tumor, like in the thick of it, and I had really kind of had a moment where I wanted to give up on life and on my body because I had partial paralysis down my left side. And I had always been a really strong person, but all of a sudden, it didn't matter what I did. My body went in the wrong direction. So I couldn't work out like I wanted to, or if I did, it was intense pain, but it didn't seem to do any good. It seemed like it went down instead. And I wanted to give up. But then it occurred to me that the true gift, like the true reason for working out and running and moving, was simply because movement itself is a gift. And that every day that I was capable of moving, I was going to move. And so I found this pair of yoga pants that said, I can, I will, down the leg. And they were amazing. And every day I didn't want to get up and move, I'd see those pants and I'd pull them on and I would move anyway. And so I started thinking, like, maybe there's other women out there who have had the death diagnosis from the doctor and they need some encouragement. And maybe these pants can encourage them as much as it can encourage me. Maybe it can be a platform for me to get my story out there, that the doctor's word is not the last word. And plus I went to a couple of yoga classes and had the teachers stop the class when I walked in, and they said, we're not going to start this class back up until you tell us where we can get some of those pants. Which is the kind of market research you want to do. Like, okay.
Right.
So that was Uniquely Yoga. I actually just filed my last tax return for it this year and shut that business down because Design by Joe has been growing and growing, and I needed to focus all my attention on that. Yes. So I think the website's still there, but for a week. So rush out, buy some pants, and then it's going to be gone.
Johanna, this has been amazing. And I wanted for you to tell our audience where they can get in touch with you, learn more about you and Design by Joe.
If they want to get in touch with me or find out more about branding services, they can visit my website, designbyjoestudio.com, and they can request a consult. But if they just want to get in my world, find out more of my story, they can click on the About page. I have podcast episodes that I've been on where I talk more about the healing journey or where I talk more about the branding if there's more they want to learn. They can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and it's at Design by Joe Studio for both of those.
Please, folks, plug into Johanna. She has an awesome story, also an awesome branding business as well. So Johanna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I look forward to running across your path again soon. Thank you.
Audrey, it's been amazing.
Thank you for listening to The Business Shop. We hope that you were able to glean valuable information from our guest and that you will download and share this podcast. Your rating and review is much appreciated. To go deeper with our guests, please visit their website and social channels. To learn more about us, please visit businessshop.info or altogether.biz, where we will help you expand your brand.